لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Before we begin our khutbah today, I have a hypothetical situation for you. Let's say on this day today, we have standing here right before you, between these two pillars, between the two members, a young girl. Let's say 7 to 8 years of age, a young girl. And we have come to learn that she is slowly but surely and inevitably losing her eyesight. And she has come to us for help. And so what do? The only help that can help her is a surgery that is out of her cost, something out of her reach, say $100,000 or more. And she has come here today for our help. Tell me, brothers, which one of you would not come to her aid? Or sisters? I bet, even the youngest amongst us, perhaps instead of, spending that dollar on the Pepsi or, samosa after Friday prayer, you give that extra one to the girl to help her out. Because you feel for her. You understand the nature and how precious is your eyesight. So let's go ahead and make this situation a little more personal. Let's say it's not just any random girl. Let's say perhaps it is your daughter. It is your sister, your younger sister, or perhaps your little, niece. What happens then? It's no longer just about helping her. Now you're standing beside her. You are crying out, asking for help. You're, talking up to old, relatives that you have not spoken in a while. Can they help? You're chatting up just mere acquaintances. Can you help? You go to your jobs, you go to your boss, and you try to explain to them your situation of what's happening. And you say, is there a way you can help me? I'm in need. It's not for me, it's for her. Can you help me? What would you not do? So as we're building up the scenario, it gets more and more intense, and I hope you're kind of just feeling the gravity situation. Lastly, let's make the third point to it. It's not just anyone else, but it is you, yourself. You are in this situation. You are slowly, but surely, but inevitably losing your eyesight. And what do? What would you not do? And that kind of begs the question. Perhaps you may start bargaining. Maybe I can give one of my other senses. I don't need my hearing as much. Or, one of my limbs. Maybe I can give a couple of fingers. Without my vision, the beauty of life is lost. I am lost. I would not know how to walk forward, And actually this picture that I'm painting to you is not so far-fetched and unreal as it is. Actually, in fact, there's a whole host of inheritable, genetic disorders that afflict people like this. One of them is called retinitis pigmentosa. What happens with these people is, at a very young age, usually before early adulthood, they're diagnosed. And, if you've heard the rods and cones, the photoreceptors, these little receptors that absorb and detect the light that comes into your eye and then slowly transmits into your brain, it's because of them that you can see. And in this condition, and like these other host of conditions, you slowly begin to lose your eyesight from the periphery, slowly, until we're in later adulthood, there is surely, inevitably, blindness. So what do I mean by this? And why are we talking about the concept of vision and eyesight, and why is it important? Perhaps, it's only some of us in this life that are afflicted with such a disease or such a condition. But what I'm telling you about this reality is something that we all face. And what do I mean by this? We refer to the Quran al-Kareem. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يَوْمَ تَرَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. And on that day, you'll see the believing men and the believing women. يَسْعَى نُورُهُمْ بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ. And you will see a light emanating, furthering before them and to the right of them. يَسْعَى نُورُهُمْ بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ بُشْرَاكُمُ الْيَوْمِ. A great news, a glad tidings, a spectacular news for you of these people. What news? جَنَّاتٌ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. A paradise, a garden with rivers flowing underneath, and where you will abide forever. ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. And surely this is the supreme victory, this is the supreme triumph. There is no greater achievement than you can do with this. And what a great picture that's painted before you on this day when there is darkness and there is worry. There is light emanating before you. Inshallah, will be amongst these people. The ayahs, continue. يَوْمَ يَقُولُ الْمُنَافِقُونَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتُ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And on the same very day, the hypocrites amongst the men and the women of them, they will say unto the believers, انظرونا نقتبس من نوركم. They will plead out, they will cry, give us just a ray of your light on this day, where there is darkness. انظرونا نقتبس من نوركم. And what will be the reply? قيل ارجعوا وراءكم فالتمسوا نورا. It was said back to them, get back, get away from us, and seek another source of light. فَضُرِبَ بَيْنَهُمْ بِسُورٍ لَهُ بَابٍ. And a wall with a gate will be erected above them, and that will divide these two people. بَاطِنُهُ فِيهِ الرَّحْمَةِ وَظَاهِرُهُ مِنْ قِبَلِهِ الْعَذَابِ. Within it there will be mercy, and outside there will be suffering. So this scenario that I present to you in the beginning of khutbah, it is not something that is so far-fetched and out into reality. It is in fact an actuality that we all have to face one of these days. And the question begs, which one of these will we be about? But we still haven't answered perhaps the more important question that some of you may be wondering. There is this vivid scene that is detailed and outlined here in the Quran al-Kareem. But what's this is kind of the effect, What's the cause? What's linking this? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala iterating these verses to us? This scene is depicted in Surah Al-Hadid. It's the 57th surah in the Quran. And the ayah that precedes this, basically these two ayahs, is مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا فَيُضَاعِفَ لَهُ وَلَهُ أَجْرٌ كَرِيمٌ. It's posed as a question. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, who will loan to Allah a beautiful loan in which that He will apply them back, multiply the reward, and surely Allah will give them a generous reward. And so this is kind of my topic about my khutbah today, and it's about infaq. It's about giving for the sake of Allah and how it is an integral portion to our faith. And without it, we are lost in utter darkness. Now it kind of makes more sense. Why is this idea, why is there a light emanating between these people? Because they are guided, because they were not, deluded by this life as a materialistic illusion. It's how sometimes people live their lives in chasing, the money or the work or their career, and so they get so short-sighted that in fact they become blinded when they think they can see, but really they cannot see. And so that's what Islam is about, and it's to help us realize what is true vision, what is true, nur, what is spiritual enlightenment. So that's kind of the question posed to you. And the next thing to kind of talk to you about this point is, now that we've established this, how integral and critical and crucial, how giving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to our faith, it is true faith in action. But it's just, what have you done? That's why I say, Salat al-Burhan. It is like an evidence, for your belief. If you want to quantify, if you want to measure, know where you are in the other faith, look at how much, do you give into causes? How willingly and freely do you give in the sake of Allah? So here's kind of the question. So we've established that at this point, and And I think even before coming to this khutbah, many of you understood, especially with Ramadan preceding us, and many, fundraisers and donations that you all gave, you're all quite aware of this situation and the seriousness about giving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So next I kind of want to talk about a little issue concerning, it's a story of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to give us an idea sometimes what impedes us, what hinders us from sometimes giving so freely and so willingly, even though we know it's the right thing to do, and even though we know our eternal fate depends on it. And so the story I want to share with you is about Rasulullah and a man who came to him. It was after the Battle of Hunayn, I believe, and basically Rasulullah had his spoils of war, as were alluded to him, and what he had was about cattle and horses, that spanned the width, between two mountains. You're talking about, in today's term, a parking lot 3 to 4 times a Walmart, not the neighborhood Walmart, the supercenter, filled with, Ferraris and Rolls Royces and the latest, model of the Mercedes Benz, That's the type of, wealth that he had amassed at this point before him. And so the man came, and he looked upon him, he saw, and like any one of us, like anyone, is amazed, like, what is this? What is this treasure that I've this, it's a score of a lifetime, you can say, or lifetimes. And so Rasulullah looked at him and he saw his, his favorable expression, and he said, "Do you like what you see?" Come on, of course. Who wouldn't? You'd have to not have your eyesight to know that what you're missing, what kind of beauty, what kind of treasure lies before you. And so in that response, Rasulullah, in his generosity, he said, "Take it, it is yours." The man was amazed, and he couldn't believe that someone would give such a thing. So he went back to his tribe, his nation, and very happily, and what did he inform them? He said, "I've come from a man, I've met a man, his name is Muhammad, and he claims to be the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he is a man," what? "He is a man who does not fear poverty." I think that's really kind of a real revolutionary type of concept and idea. Someone who does not fear poverty. Perhaps we're sitting here, alhamdulillah, we're doing well, we have 3 meals a day, and we have a clothing and everything, we got a car to come to the masjid, a car to go to work, etc., etc. We never really think about poverty in that sense. But really, that is actually kind of what happens and what sometimes impedes us. And what I mean by this is, when I heard about this hadith the very first time, it made me very think of the ayah, Surah Al-Baqarah. الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء. Shaitan promises you poverty, and by that commands you to do evil. What do you mean by promises you poverty? He's going to intimidate you. He's going to belittle you. He's going to tell you, you can't raise your hand for that donation. You can't give for that cause. Why? Because look, you got a son who's going to college or medical school. You know how much that costs these days? With inflation and tuition and fees rising these days? How are you going to do that? Or about your daughter? It's your only daughter. She needs to get married. And we all know, weddings these days cost 10,000 plus, if so, And so here comes Shaitan trying to instigate and try to intimidate you that don't give, don't give, don't give. And so paradoxically, this is kind of the lesson that's alluded by Rasulullah in this example is that giving freely and willingly and for the sake of Allah takes you off those shackles of sometimes of what impedes you from giving in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the ayah continues, it says, الشَّيْطَانُ يَعِدُكُمُ الْفَقْرَ وَيَأْمُرُكُم بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finishes the ayah, وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُم مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises you 2 things. 1, His mercy, and basically something from His bounty. Basically, He will forgive you, He will have mercy upon you in this life, in the akhirah, as well as He will increase you. He will grant you more. It's coming back to the realization that what we have and what we work for, it's not something from us. Of course, it's our hard work, but it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has guided you to get that education. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has guided you to get that job. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has guided you to be successful in your profession, whatever it may be. But it is a risk. And the truth is, it's not about how much you have, it's about how you earn it, make sure it's a halal way, and how you spend it. That's what's important, because that's what's going to last and that's what's going to matter on the last day. So inshallah, here's kind of just a couple of lessons that give to us why it is important to give for the sake of Allah and how it can be beneficial to us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فليتوب المتوبون. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. All praise and gratitude is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guiding us to this, because if it was not for His guidance, we would surely have never made it. What do I mean by this? This is the second khutbah after Ramadan. And it's kind of one of the big concepts that was going on in Ramadan was about giving the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We continuously gave. We showed, we went to new heights, possibilities, potentials that we did not know we could rise to. And that's kind of why I'm here for this khutbah, is to remind us about this, to keep up that intensity, that fervor, that love that you had. I heard about how the masjid had a goal to reach a certain amount, and alhamdulillah, we made it. Not to mention like the other organizations like Surayan, we helped them out time and time again, as well as other brothers who came from out of town, we helped them in all these different causes. So, just a quick recap for recently joining us later. We talked about first why it is an integral portion of our faith, a faith in action, why we should give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will help determine our fate on the last day. And secondly, of how it is that sometimes we are hindered and there's obstacles placed in our way that we do not even know, that we cannot even see, that prevent us from giving the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So kind of with these 2 points, the next thing that I want to allude to perhaps is even a more important question. And that is, what do we mean exactly by when we say giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So the truth of the matter is, you can have a friend, it could be a Christian, a Hindu, a Buddhist, or even the atheist, and they can give freely and generously and willingly. They can, donate to the same organizations and charities that you do. But what is it about us, inshallah? What is it about the Muslim that when he or she says, I'm giving, how is that characteristically different? And what does it mean? And there should be some difference, right? We should not just be like anything else. Otherwise, all the religions, or all the philosophies and theocracies have a stake on this than on Islam. What is it about Islam that makes it, something even more pure and beautiful? So for this, we kind of turn to a surah, an event, and essentially one ayah. And this occurs in Surah Nur. It is the 22nd ayah, and we'll get to it in a second. Before, just kind of give a little background. And so Surah Nur, as it implies, it means light. But not just any light, a light that is of its own source. We're talking specifically implying about God's light. We're talking about those who are spiritually enlightened, have true vision, right? And so this surah, as it mentions, as the name comes off, it pertains to a lot of different number of issues dealing with what is true moral uprightness, what is social justice, from things as serious to how to deal with an accuser, to how your social etiquettes are with your neighbors, and how you enter someone's house and whatnot. So about the surah, it goes on. It starts off basically talking about about those who commit zina, those who engage in extramarital affairs, and how heinous of an act it is. And then it goes on to mention about how it's even more atrocious of those who falsely accuse. And so, like the Quran, it's not just mere statements, but the time of the Sahaba, through the 23 years it was revealed, there were actual events and incidents that related and pertained to. And so that's what next the surah kind of covers. And just to kind of give a quick background about this, what happened was there was a rumor that had been propagated and started about Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet and the daughter of Abu Bakr radiallahu anha. And the way this basically happened was that Rasulullah, he went on many expeditions, different trades, different businesses he had to handle, and so he would take one of his wives with him. So on this particular one, Aisha radiallahu anha went with him. And so when they were just, finishing up their business and they're ready to go, what happened was Aisha radiallahu anha was actually outside of her. She had like a secure tent, and basically that would be placed upon her camel. Some people were in charge of managing that, so she would have her own privacy and security, and they would just guard the outsides of it. And so what happened was they didn't realize that she was not inside it, and they went on. So when she came back to the campsite, she saw that no one was there. So what is she going to do now? She wasn't too far from Medina, but she thought perhaps maybe let me go ahead just and wait, and they'll realize that I'm not there, and they'll come back looking for me. Where am I going to go in this desert all by myself, right? So she was sitting there, she fell asleep for a while, and she was there. So there was one of the Sahaba, his name is Safwan bin al-Mu'attal, and he came, and he saw her, and he recognized her. He had been delayed in his expedition, and he was coming back a little after the rest of the party. And so he came and he recognized her. And so what would you do in this situation? And of course you're going to help her. So he took her, went on his horse, and they went. So, this is two very respectable people. One who Rasulullah has given, his trust and his, blessings to, and then his wife, the one he, loves so dearly, who was the daughter of his, his closest companion of Abu Bakr. But shaitan, sometimes roams freely and begins to incite, evil into people's hearts. And so what happened was, like I said, people began to, basically it was started by Abdullah ibn Ubay. And it was basically a rumor propagated that he had come, that Aisha radiallahu anha had spent the night with a man and then came later. Basically trying to insinuate something here. And this is a very serious thing. And I want you to just the reason I'm going back to this background and everything here is to help you understand the seriousness and the gravity of the situation. This rumor, this entire incident, continued on for nearly a month. It was, so grave and so serious to the point that there were, little open, semi-public arguments happening. People were beginning to question not just Aisha radiallahu anha, but Rasulullah, but the Muslim faith, the empire, the state as itself. What is happening? And like anyone else, Rasulullah is a human being. He has his emotions. Even he was affected, and of course Aisha radiallahu anha was affected. Who can insinuate such a rumor about someone? And so this continued on for nearly a month. And so imagine this: what can you do? And we take a look at Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's type of view. What can he do? One is his best friend, and the other is his daughter. How does he go? Who does he protect? What happens? And they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting for some sort of divine revelation to come to clear all this up. And then finally, there's about or so after a month, it happens, and her name was cleared. And the hypocrites and those who were like Abdullah ibn Ubay had been basically outcast, and they've been shown who were the ones who had propagated this lie, this great lie. And what was kind of interesting about this is that one of them was Mistah bin Athath, I believe, and he was a relative who was he was rather poor, and he used to get help from Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He was one of those that he used to give regularly. And imagine the situation. This for a month, this has been going on and on and on, and now you learn that one of the people who was actually helping and propagate this rumor was someone you knew, someone you were related to. What would your reaction be? At the very least, you would totally socially outcast us, boycott them, say terrible, vulgar things about them. Perhaps even be, promoted all the way to the point of physically harming them. And then if people were to look around, would you say that's completely incorrect? Look what he said about his daughter. What would he do? What would you do? But Abu Bakr's, his response was that, in his calm, timid mind, he said that I will not give to him such and such ever again. That was his response. That was his form of retaliation, because he used to give to him regularly. And upon this, an ayah was revealed, and the ayah that I'm talking about, and that kind of shows what does it mean to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَأْتَلِ أُولُو الْفَضْلِ مِنْكُمْ وَالسَّعَةِ أَنْ يُؤْتُوا أُولِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَالْمُهَاجِرِينَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Upon Abu Bakr's saying that he would not give any more to him, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, and do not let by us who have bestowed grace upon you and giving you ample means to not give to your near relatives, to your kins, and to those who are needy and those who had basically expiated for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are muhajir. It says, in fact, furthermore, it says, وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا. Forgive, pardon them, and have forbearance. أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Would you not like it, would you not like that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives you? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful and most forgiving. And this kind of implies the idea of how, the idea that it didn't matter who he was or what it was, but there was a cause that was justified and legislated by Islam. And it didn't matter about personal, feelings or whatsoever, but yet Abu Bakr still gave to them. That's the integral part that I'm trying to make here, is that's what it means when you give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not for anyone else, it's not for anything, it's not, you're doing a favor on someone. Although, your heart can long for a certain cause, a certain organization to help, and that's okay. But while you give, what is it characteristically different about the Muslim who gives? It is, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, the fold, and even on that, even then when sometimes people are ungrateful, you pardon them and you have forbearance, you're, patient with them. And why? Because you are seeking something else. You are seeking only the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Allah surely will give you His mercy and His compassion towards you if you're going to do so. So, with that, and many of you may be thinking, we kind of established why is giving for the sake of Allah is an integral portion of Islam, and as a Muslim and faith in action, sometimes what impedes us from giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what does it mean to be pure? It's no wonder this ayah was revealed in Surah Nur. What does it mean to be pure and honest when you're giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So many of you may be thinking perhaps that after this khutbah, I have a fundraiser planned for you. A very possibility. But I can assure you, I have no means to fundraise or anything, and as far as my knowledge goes, there is no fundraiser or something I know. There may be something else the message is planned, but nothing for me. This is a free khutbah. But that's just kind of the thing right there. Some of you may have been thinking that, perhaps, readying yourself. The tension's kind of building up, with your pockets. I want to give, but I feel that, shaitan's pull. But now here comes the question. And this kind of the big, essence of my khutbah that I'm trying to make is that now that it's no longer Ramadan, it's been 2 weeks. Now that there is no one up in your face, saying, brothers, who will donate 5,000? Who will donate 1,000? Can I get a seventh one? Will you give? Will you give with the same intensity? Will you honor your pledges that you made in Ramadan? I'm not talking about some sort of huge, grand, play or anything like that. I'm talking about something simple as when you're walking out after Juma and you say salam to Brother Amin, you put an extra 5 or 10 in the masjid box. Or perhaps when you go home, and you see your wife and your kids, but you treat them nicely and you give them occasional gifts. One of the best sadaqah is the one to your relatives. There's 2 merits to it. One actual sadaqah and the other one actually keeping the ties close. So this is something important, and this is kind of the point that I'm trying to make, inshallah. And so, with that, inshallah, we'll go and end, and I'll leave you with one piece of advice, one ayah, one true reality, and that is, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. Go ahead and spend, out of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you with. Before a time comes when death approaches you and you will call out and say, you will plead, give me just a little bit more time so that I may give more in charity and I may be amongst one of those who are the good doers. There's three realities to this point. One is surely a time is going to come for all of us, every single one, and we're going to come to us alone, each and individually. Second, there will be no delay, absolutely not. It will come at that moment and there will be no waiting. And the third point will be, is we will wish that we had done more. You know, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. So that's kind of my point. The time is today. The time is now, inshallah, to make a difference and to continue your efforts and spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it is an integral portion to our faith, to our community, to building it, and to our eternal fate. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام.